Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're looking far, far beyond the initial construction phase of our modern infrastructure. You know, picture the highly skilled professionals in hard hats out there inspecting massive structures. What actually guides their long-term decisions? Well, we're exploring an innovative pathway to master this exact science. Michigan Technological University's Continuing Education course, CEE 5390. It's a program that focuses entirely on civil asset management.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever stopped to think about what actually happens after the ribbon-cutting ceremony on a massive new infrastructure project? The cameras pack up, the politicians go home, the hype fades away, but that physical structure, it has to survive, adapt, and function for decades. The long-term reality of our aging infrastructure requires a highly strategic approach that goes way beyond those original blueprints.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll examine the infrastructure challenge, define asset management, take a look inside course CE 5390, meet expert Mark DeClercq, and finally cover the certification and career benefits. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The Infrastructure Challenge. To truly understand the solution we're exploring today, we first need to frame the urgent, real-world state of our public assets. As a society, we've systematically disinvested. And essentially, we've just kicked the can down the road on infrastructure investment. Imagine the stress of trying to keep a 60-year-old water main functioning for another decade. That is immense pressure on today's engineers. We've kind of lost the art of delivering on an asset's entire life cycle, from design and construction all the way through to operations, maintenance, and eventually replacement. We're facing severe constraints right now. Global populations are growing rapidly, resources are tighter than ever, and climate change is becoming a massive influential factor, putting immense stress on our built environments. Section 2. What is asset management? So, how do we shift our mindset from simply building things to strategically sustaining them? Let's define the core concept here. Civil asset management is the science and coordinated activity for the long-term care and maintenance of infrastructure systems. Now, you might already be familiar with asset management in the financial sector, right? Where investment firms and insurance companies manage portfolios to reduce risk and stabilize premiums. Well, in civil engineering, the concept is similar, but instead of managing financial portfolios, we're managing the longevity, resilience, and overall value of physical civil assets for the communities that rely on them every single day.
And this brilliantly illustrates a major shift in perspective. While traditional civil engineering heavily emphasizes the upfront analysis, design, and building phases, civil asset management shifts the focus to the entire life cycle, ongoing maintenance, and high-level business strategy. It fills a critical gap by forcing engineers to think about sustainability and how to optimize an asset's value long after the initial build is complete. It even ties into environmental, social, and governance principles embraced globally. To ground this in reality, we're talking about highly tangible civil assets. Think about long-span bridges, complex potable water systems, and massive airport facilities. Maintaining these specific systems is more critical now than at any point in history. These aren't just static concrete and steel structures. They're dynamic, essential public services that require proactive, strategic management to ensure they never fail when we need them most. Section 3, Inside Course CEE 5390. This brings us to Michigan Tech's 14-week online course, which serves as the premier educational tool for mastering this exact discipline. It approaches the field from a highly unique, cross-functional angle. Actually, as the instructor notes, it's more a business management tool than an engineering concept. This field involves business, finance, risk management, and critical thinking skill sets into one comprehensive practice. You're not just running mathematical stress tests on materials here. You're building a strategic operational plan.
The core curriculum modules reflect this incredibly diverse approach. You'll dive deeply into topics like operational demand analysis and contingency planning, but I want to make absolutely sure to emphasize two critical components here: lifecycle analysis and asset risk assessment. You're learning how to calculate the true lifespan of a structure and strategically assess the risks it will face over decades of use. And here's a fascinating detail. Instead of taking a traditional final exam, students actually use the A3 model from the Lean Enterprise Institute to build out and present a finalized asset management plan for a real-world infrastructure asset. It is an incredibly practical, hands-on application of the material.
Section 4, Meet expert Mark DeClercq.
Let's introduce the industry expert guiding this professional evolution. Mark DeClercq brings over 33 years of total industry experience in both the public and private sectors. He earned his bachelor's and master's degrees in structural engineering from MTU back in 1988 and 1990. Fast forward to 2013, and he was one of the leading engineers on the front lines during the devastating Grand Rapids flood event, helping lead the recovery and recertification of the flood protection system. What's especially notable is that he's both a licensed professional engineer, or PE, and a certified asset manager professional, or AMP. Because he's also versed in lean management and holds a FEMA certificate in emergency management, he perfectly bridges the gap between technical engineering and strategic leadership.
Section 5, Certification and Career Benefits. Now, let's shift to the tangible, real-world professional value of taking this course for government contractors, project managers, and engineers. Michigan Tech is actually the first U.S. university to have its students eligible for formal certification from the Institute of Asset Management, or IAM. What's incredible here is the academic pathway. If you complete CEE 5390 with a grade of B or better, you are automatically awarded the first-level certificate in asset management. You do not need to sit for a separate, inconvenient industry exam. The academic rigor of the course itself qualifies you for the certification.
So, the crucial point is just how in demand this certification makes you right now. There is a massive need for these professionals from huge government organizations. Entities like FEMA, the Army Corps of Engineers, the Department of Defense, and the National Park System are heavily embracing civil asset management principles. In fact, teams submitting proposals for government contracts are now frequently required to have at least one certified asset management professional on their roster. The career boost is undeniable for sure. Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought to consider. As a civil engineering professional, are you fully prepared to strategically manage the entire life cycle of the infrastructure you design? We can no longer afford to just build structures and walk away. Elevating your skills in life cycle analysis and risk assessment isn't just a smart career move, it is absolutely essential for the future of our built environment.